The weather over the next few days is about to get very active. Today, severe weather targets the Ohio Valley and in the plains, producing a potential for damaging winds, hail, and a couple of tornadoes. And cooler weather is going to be coming into the Great Lakes region, bringing relief to many people. In today's video, I'll break down what you need to know about the weather over the next few days, so let's jump right into the forecast. It's Wednesday, August 26th, 2026, and this is our severe weather outlook for today. This is by the Storm Prediction Center. This is what they're expecting for severe weather today. We do have 3 slight risks across the United States. We got one down here in parts of northern Mississippi, western Tennessee, southern Missouri, parts of Arkansas, Memphis, Little Rock. You guys are included inside of this slight risk. We do have another slight risk up here in northwestern Ohio, southeastern Michigan, eastern Illinois, and northern Indiana. We could see some severe weather out here as well. And then we do got another slight risk for severe weather across eastern Colorado out here in parts of the plains, where we could also see some severe weather. And then in those green areas, we could see some isolated severe weather at the marginal risk. In those light green areas, we just expect to see normal thunderstorms. If we go ahead and switch over to our tornado threat for today, we could see a few isolated brief tornadoes across northern Indiana, northwestern Ohio, parts of southern Michigan. Our tornado threat today has been downgraded from 5% to 2%. Due to this is going to be because of the wind shear. We're not going to have too much wind shear out here, and the storm mode is probably going to be more messy than what was expected a few days ago. We are also expected to see a damaging wind potential in these areas as the main concern, with damaging winds in excess of 60 to 70 miles an hour. However, we do have a hatched risk out here in the plains. If you see these lines with dots in it, this is actually a hatched risk, which is a conditional tense to group 1 risk. This means that 75-mile-per-hour plus winds will be possible out here in the plains. Hail will also be a concern today in these regions. We do have a hail risk out here in parts of the Midwest, and another one out here in parts of the plains, with a hatched hail risk where we could be seeing hail up to hen egg size or even more. So that's 2 inches or more. So definitely make sure to be parking your car in the garages, as you'll definitely need it today, as we're going to be seeing some pretty large hailstones potentially. And as we get into tomorrow, we could see more severe weather across parts of the northeast and in the plains. The northeast tomorrow could be seeing some severe weather, especially across eastern Pennsylvania and eastern New York and parts of Maryland. That's where the main severe weather potential will be tomorrow on Thursday, August 27th. We do have a tornado threat tomorrow on Thursday. This is going to be a low tornado threat. We could see a few isolated tornadoes in the northeast tomorrow, mainly around Albany and eastern New York. Damaging winds will be the main concern tomorrow in these regions. Definitely make sure to be strapping down unscathed objects so they don't fly away. We could also be seeing some hail in these regions. And then we do have another potential for damaging winds out here in the plains. There's going to be a low potential for damaging winds out here. But if we do get some damaging winds, they could be strong up to 75 miles an hour or potentially even more. We could also be seeing some hail up to hen egg size out here tomorrow. But these threats are kind of low. We could see an upgrade to a slight risk if the threat goes up. And on Friday, we're expected to see a few isolated severe storms out here in the southeast around Charlotte down to Atlanta, Georgia. Could see a few isolated severe storms on Friday in those regions. Could also see a few isolated severe storms in the northern plains on Friday. Now, these areas will shift around a little bit more since they're kind of far in the future. We can't be as accurate this far in the future, so the threat areas will shift some more. And we do have a general risk inside of that area where we could just be seeing some normal general storms, not anything too severe. And we do have a potential for fire weather today out here in parts of the Pacific Northwest. We have a critical risk in northwestern Nevada, southeastern Oregon, and northeastern California. That's where the main concern for fire weather will be today. Then we do have an elevated risk in some of those orange areas with an isolated dry thunderstorm risk up there in the northern Rockies. If you're in these regions, we do got dry air combining with warm air and windy conditions, which is perfect for fire weather in these regions. So definitely be prepared for that fire weather, and this should continue into tomorrow pretty much in the same regions as you can see right here. If we go ahead and take a look at the future radar, you can see that we're expected to see some storms fire later today, this afternoon and evening. We'll probably get some storms to get going around 2 p.m. out here in parts of southwestern Michigan. These storms should produce a potential for damaging winds, hail, and maybe an isolated tornado. These storms will eventually strengthen some more. They're going to struggle to maintain intensity, but they could produce some damaging winds, hail, maybe a tornado. These storms will continue through these regions. We could see a few storms around Fort Wayne and Detroit, maybe around 6 p.m., so late evening hours there. And then these storms should continue through these areas, and then they'll kind of weaken out as we get into the overnight hours as we lose instability due to the sun. And then these storms could make it to Cincinnati, though they'll probably not be severe by the time they get there, but we'll keep an eye on that. We can see severe storms as far north as Alpena, Michigan today, this evening, so that is something that we're going to have to keep an eye on there. And if you're out there on the Great Lakes, like boating or anything, yeah, I'd definitely be prepared for some storms to pop up later today, especially out in these regions, as we're going to be seeing some storms pop up out there. This is our storm relative helicity. This kind of shows where our spin in the atmosphere is to help tornadoes form. You can see that we have like a less spin than what the models were showing even yesterday, which is why they downgraded this, because we don't have like strong wind shear out here. But if we do see any tornadoes, the best threat for that will be right over here in northern Indiana and northwestern Ohio. That's where the best threat for tornadoes will be today. So definitely be prepared for that. But damaging winds will be the main concern in these regions, as tornadoes are starting. The chances for tornadoes are starting to go down some more as we keep getting model runs. Farther down south, we'll also see a few storms develop today out here around Little Rock, Arkansas. We're going to have a lot of instability in these regions, which is really going to help storms explode. If you're on Little Rock, definitely be prepared this evening for some storms to develop, producing a potential for damaging winds and hail. The tornado threat down here is very low to near zero. You can see a few storms also pop up down here into around Birmingham, Montgomery, Alabama. These storms could produce some damaging winds and hail. And then these storms should continue. There's going to be a lot of the scattered storms out here. The main concern is probably going to be within these regions for those severe storms. But we could also see some elsewhere. A few isolated severe storms will even pop up down here in Florida as well. These storms will produce a damaging wind potential and a hail potential. So definitely, if you're in these regions, have multiple ways to receive weather alerts. And you can see what I mean about the instability for today out here. You can see that we have a lot of instability in the regions, which is really going to help these storms mature very fast in these regions. We can see storm fuel amounts. So this is Cape. We could see some amounts up to around 3,000 joules per kilogram, with locally higher amounts possible. So these storms are going to have access to a lot of fuel. But the storm mode is not going to be very favorable for tornadoes, and the shear is not going to be very strong. So we're not really expecting a big tornado threat out here. And then out here in the plains, we're going to expect some storms to develop this evening out here around Denver, Colorado Springs. You guys have been dealing with severe weather a lot, so you guys are going to be seeing some more today. So definitely be prepared for that threat out here. You're going to be making sure you have multiple ways to receive weather alerts this evening and into the overnight hours in these regions, as damaging winds and hail will be the main concerns, as we do have some instability combining with some of that wind shear. It's kind of where most of our wind shear is going to be, so these will kind of last a little longer than some of the other storms. So definitely, if you're in these regions, Colorado Springs, Denver, Fort Collins, Cheyenne, definitely be prepared for these storms and have multiple ways to receive alerts. As we get into tomorrow, we're gonna have this low pressure system in Canada. Then we're gonna have a front. We're gonna have this boundary that's gonna come down here, and we're gonna see a lot of scattered severe storms pop up tomorrow across parts of the eastern United States. So tomorrow's a day that's probably gonna impact a lot of people in terms of the severe weather, and just normal thunderstorms will be possible. So if you're out here going in the Ohio Valley all the way up into the northeast, be prepared for some severe weather tomorrow. We got a lot of storms that are going to pop up. That's kind of what the HRRR feature radar is showing for tomorrow. We're going to have a lot of storms pop up. These storms could produce some damaging winds, hail, and the main tornado threat is going to stay farther up north and northeast. We'll talk about that here shortly. But the time is going to be at the top left of your screen. So, wherever you're at, just check out the time at the top left, and you'll be able to see when those storms will impact you. As I can't really go over every single location and the timing for that. But this is when we're expected those storms to form tomorrow in these regions, and we are going to be seeing a lot of storms pop up out here. So this is going to be a pretty concerning severe weather setup. And the main tornado threat tomorrow will likely stay a little bit farther north up here in the northeast. Like I said, that's kind of where most of our wind shear will be. You can see that we do have enough atmospheric spin out here. This is where most of our SRH is at. You can see those reds, those oranges colors. This is where kind of most of our spin will be in the atmosphere. So that's where our main tornado threat will be tomorrow in these regions. So definitely make sure you're staying prepared for that. The tornado threat farther south is going to be very low, but we'll still keep an eye on it, as we can maybe see an isolated tornado as well down here around Baltimore and Washington, D.C. areas. So definitely watch that closely there. If I go ahead and take a look at our wind model here, you can see that. You can see this is our storm system that's going to be coming in and causing some of that severe weather. We do got this surface low out here in Canada that's going to bring some of the severe weather. It's going to bring some of that severe weather in parts of the Midwest today. And this storm system will start to move farther east into the northeast. That's going to be causing that severe weather potential tomorrow. And then you can see we're going to have some more storm systems as we get farther into the future. As we even get into very late August, we can see some storms out there in parts of the northern plains and Midwest. It's kind of the main area. The upper Midwest and northern plains will probably be seeing the areas that we'll see probably the main severe weather over the next few weeks. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. And then if we go ahead and look at early September, we do have a storm system that could cause some severe weather in parts of the Northeast and Ohio Valley in early September. So we'll have to watch that closely. But we're going to continue getting these smaller mesoscale severe weather steps in the United States that we're just going to have to keep an eye on. But it's going to be really hard to predict the farther you go into the future. Here's a quick update on some of our storms out here in the Atlantic. You can see that we do have a low chance for development out here. Well, it's medium. I do think this will get downgraded to a low chance. We do have a storm that's coming off of Africa. This is a tropical wave. It is not expected to develop. I'm not expecting it to develop either. I was not expecting it to develop even before this because there's so much wind shear out here that this storm has to fight, and even this storm up here, the wind shear and the cooler waters just tore the system apart up here off the coast of Newfoundland. So I'm not worried about any tropical development. We are probably not going to see any tropical development, and even if we did, it's not going to impact the United States. And we do have cooler temperatures that are coming into the United States. If you're noticing that, it's getting a little cooler than usual outside, nothing too crazy, but we do got cooler temperatures in those regions. And then we're going to get some warmer temperatures across parts of the United States as well. That's going to start to come in here. We're going to see some above average temperatures as we get into early September across the United States. This is likely. We can't confirm it because it's kind of far into the future, but we could see some decently above average temperatures in early September in these regions. So be prepared for this cool down to start warming up here pretty soon. And that's pretty much all I got for you in today's forecast. Make sure to slap a like on this video, subscribe. Stay tuned. I will probably be going live today or tomorrow because we haven't been streaming in a while. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.